Today we're talking about why only the truly confident can keep up with the INFJ. If you're an INFJ, you've experienced this more than once. It has happened that you met somebody, you thought you have a really good connection, but on some level, that person is backing off. On some level, they might even be ghosting you. You feel like you had some kind of connection or things were working out, and not just in a romantic setting, like even coworkers or friends, and then they back off and you don't know what happened. Well, let me tell you, the main reason is because those people aren't truly confident. And this is not just a question of, oh, I'm confident, so they have to be confident. It has so much more to do with the fact that if you're truly confident, that means you're self-aware. And that is what the INFJ can connect with, because the INFJ doesn't like, connecting with people and pretending like they're somebody else. They see who you truly are, and that's the person they want to be in contact with. And if the other person doesn't want to admit that about themselves, we got a problem. So today we're going to talk about how to figure this whole system out. Like, do we need to find people who are truly confident? Do we need to bypass this whole question altogether? Like, how can we really make the best out of it and feel like we're connecting with a lot of people in a meaningful way, and we're not constantly asking ourselves, what has happened again? Why doesn't this work out? What is wrong with me? Before we get into it, remember, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life Formula. And if you want to take it to the next level and start taking action today and making those big jumps in your life, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know, you can find in the links in the description. Okay, so let's start here from the beginning. So many INFJs really question themselves. They think at the end of the day, there might be something wrong with me, because you can tell yourself over and over again, no, the other person just isn't okay with me being so open, or they're not okay with me going so deep. But we always at some level really question, is it really our fault? Because the thing that all of those connections have in common is you and is me and is the INFJ in the middle. But if we understand what the narrative around this whole thing is, like why this is happening, and it makes sense, we can look at the situation from a different perspective and actually take it for what it is and create like amazing results in our life, like have the connections we always wanted in all areas. So what does it mean to be truly confident? To be truly confident means that you're confident about who you are. It doesn't mean that somebody is confident or bragging about something they've achieved, or that they think if I do something in a certain area, people are going to like me. No, that is not true confidence. That might be something that a truly confident person also experiences, but that's not what makes them truly confident. Like, to be truly confident, you have to be self-aware. Right? Because the only way the real confidence can come out is if you know exactly who you are, and then you start becoming proud of that, right? So there's confidence in everything you're going to achieve in the future. There's confidence that you know what is good for you. You've already proven to yourself that you can trust yourself, and that no matter what comes into your life, you're not going to be swayed off your rhythm, your path, or somebody's going to make you speed up your process, right? You know who you are, and that's what you're confident about. And then if somebody comes to you and they have this image of you that isn't in alignment with who you truly are, then, it's just not going to change your perspective about yourself. And on the other hand, if you are not aware of who you are, if you're somebody who tries to prove to yourself, that you're strong because on some level you feel weak, or you try to prove to yourself that you're, a good person because on some level you feel you're not, guess what? You're not going to be okay with a person who sees you for who you truly are. And that is what the INFJ does. That is what the INFJ does all the time. Because it really isn't that the INFJ in itself is like truly confident all the time. It's not even that every INFJ is self-aware. Like, we have to learn this as well. But the biggest difference, and why this is so important when it comes to INFJs, is the fact that when we meet people, we see a truer version of themselves than they may be seeing, right? If you meet, for example, a person who is trying to overcompensate their, feeling of not being enough. For example, they feel they're not strong enough, and therefore they act out in ways that are, just exaggerated. You see that this is a defense mechanism. You see that this is a role they're playing. What does the INFJ do? they connect with the person that's underneath that. They cannot, pretend forever that, oh, that's a person who's truly confident and they're truly strong, because we know in the back of our mind, no, that's a person who isn't aware of that. That's a person who believes they're weak. And even if I, talk to them in the way of, you are a strong person, it will always come out that we know that they think they're weak. Right? I mean, think about it. You have a couple of options when you meet another person. You can either play to their ego, which we do very often because we don't want to create this harmony. We see a person who wants to see themselves as strong, so we act in a way of, oh yeah, I see that you're strong, and that's how it goes. But at some point, you're going to say something, you're going to do something, which is going to show to that person that you know what they're struggling with. You know that this is just a facade. Right? Because what you're doing is you're seeing that person underneath. That's what you're aware of. And if the other person is, building up their ego through a false sense of strength in one area, when this is actually not their area of strength, right? Every person is strong, but in unique ways. And that person, in order to be truly confident in this example, would have to find out, oh, okay, I'm trying to overcompensate something, which I actually have to accept about myself. This is who I truly am. And my strength lies in something else. And that's what I'm aware of. That's what I'm confident about. And all is good. So if you are approaching them and you're acting in a way of, oh, I see what's underneath, and they themselves haven't realized that yet. They themselves are trying to overcompensate. They themselves try to prove to themselves that this is not the case, right? That this is not who they truly are because they're ashamed of who they truly are, right? We all have some kind of shame going on. But the thing is, if somebody meets an INFJ, then all of those things that, that person tries to keep hidden, that they probably aren't even aware of consciously, the INFJ sees. And the INFJ cannot pretend like, oh, that's the person who, they're trying to play. We can say that, we can, act towards that. But in the end, when we want a real connection, we want to connect with the real person over there. We're not going to connect with the role that they're playing. Because every single time we do that, that's when we feel alone. That's when we feel we don't have real connections, because it's all based on, a game, a role that we're trying to maintain. So if you as an INFJ, by default, see the person that they really are on some level, because you just generally go deeper, the only person who can handle this, and that's why we're talking about being able to handle an INFJ, being able to keep up with an INFJ, accepting an INFJ. The only person who can really do that is a person who's self-aware. That is the main first thing, because only through being self-aware, you can build true self-confidence. Everything else is just a facade. Everything else is, me boosting my ego, me doing something that is just, making me feel good for the moment. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be an either or scenario. Sometimes we do things to boost our ego, and that's totally fine. Just got to be aware of what's going on. And if you as an INFJ know that this is what you're confronted with, you can approach it completely differently. Because when we as INFJs encounter situations like this, on some level we doubt ourselves. On some level we think, oh, I'm just too tough, or I'm just too strong, or I'm not kind enough, or, I made the other person feel bad. Right? We question ourselves. We think we have done something wrong. And that's when you get in those situations where it's constantly, oh, I need to try harder. I need to give even more. Those are the typical situations where we feel we're in a relationship where we're giving 70% and another person is giving 30%. In friendships, in relationships with coworkers, and intimate relationships, in families, whatever it may be. Because we are always saying, okay, maybe the way I am, doesn't work, because they cannot connect with that, right? And so the self-doubt creeps up, which makes us go back and forth between playing a role and really being truly who we are. But if you come to terms with the fact that if people act this way, then it's because they haven't really accepted themselves. And the only way you can approach this is by really living that truth and not allowing any other reality then you leave it up to the other people to say, either I'm going to grow from this, I'm going to become more and more aware of that's who I am, or I'm going to distance myself to you. And very often we as INFJs shy away from those confrontations, from making this decision, because we feel if I'm being truly myself and, I make my reality the main reality in my life and the reality that is true to me and nothing else, then everybody will abandon me. Because in my experience, every single time I've tried this, people have had a really strong reaction. They have moved away. They have had a problem with this. And so we neglect this as an option. But at one point in your life, you will understand that there is no other choice if you want to get to the next level of abundance, of happiness, of, living a life true to yourself. And once you really come to this realization and you recognize, I'm never going to abandon that ever again. I'm never going to pretend like I think they are the role that they're playing. I know who they are. That's how I'm going to treat them. I'm not going to dim my light in any kind of way. That's how I see the world. That's how I see other people. And then it's on others to decide, do they want to share my life with me in any kind of way, right? Do we want to have a psychological connection? If we do, on what level? Because, you can be really great friends with somebody and still say, okay, we have a psychological distance. Like I have people in my family, I have people in my friendship groups that are psychologically speaking further away from me, right? But because of that, we have such a better relationship now, because before we used to be so close to each other, but the way this was working was by me as an INFJ neglecting who I was, trying to pretend like I'm only recognizing their facade and I'm not seeing what's underneath that. And that's when, those resentments come up. That's when you feel you're not being seen. You have to keep in mind, you can only be seen if you're being truly yourself. And the thing is, if on some level you believe that you're not allowed to be yourself, you automatically and subconsciously are going to surround yourself with people who feel the same way. So of course, when you switch gears, when you say, now I'm going to be myself, I'm going to walk my talk, I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to see the world the way I see it, and I'm going to live it, and I'm going to express that, the people around you will have, a reaction towards you that will make you feel you're alone. But if you stick with that, you automatically are going to attract people who now see you for the way you are and accept that. Right? You're not making that choice for them. Before, it was like we say, oh, I know people are not going to accept me, so therefore I'm going to alter myself, as a starting point. Now we say, if people accept me or not, it's not going to change who I am. And when you do that, you're going to meet people who are that self-aware, and are so okay with who they are that they can accept you for being not only as self-aware as you are, but also being okay with you seeing them for who they truly are, for seeing the deeper layer of them, right? Because they are okay with themselves, and so they're also okay with you seeing that about them. Those are the people that can keep up with INFJs. Those are the people that INFJs can connect with. And it really isn't like this everything or nothing thing. You just give people the opportunity to decide for themselves how close they can be psychologically towards you. So they're still feeling comfortable, and you're also making sure that you can be real and you can act towards them, the way you really think about them, and not just, this way of walking on eggshells in order to make them comfortable. Remember, if you want some more guidelines how to strengthen that inner knowing of who you are and to really make changes in your life and move towards your INFJ Epic Life, then get the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula. And if you want to go deeper and you want to take action, in big ways and make changes happen and understand how the psychology works for us INFJs in order to make those changes, and finally live the life we always wanted, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video Why Being Around an INFJ is So Addictive.